Question 22 reads, the graphs in the xy plane of the following quadratic equations each have x-intercepts of -2 and 4. The graph of which equation has its vertex farthest from the x-axis? Well, let's try to visualize what this question is asking for and how we solve for this. Okay, so if I have the x-intercepts minus, right around here, -2 and 4, well, and if I have an imaginary quadratic, none of these, mind you, just a random one, let me just try to draw one. Well, the nature of quadratics is that if I have a line splitting it, right, like this, it's going to be symmetrical. We call this, we say that quadratics are vertically symmetrical. And this line, we call this line the line of symmetry. The line of symmetry. And the reason why this is important is because the vertex point of all quadratics lie always on the line of symmetry. And even further, if we try to extrapolate what this means, if the vertex, let's say, is xy, well, if we know the line of symmetry, let's say it's x equals 2, just a random number, well, we know then the coordinate of the x, well, we know the x coordinate of the quadratic then. So x coordinate of the vertex of the quadratic, sorry. So it's going to be 2 comma y. And then the way we can solve for y is, let's say, again, if this is 3x squared plus 2x plus 4, that is the equation of this line right here, this quadratic, then I plug in that 2 into this for x and then solve for y, and that's going to give me my y coordinate of the vertex of the quadratic. Okay, and so I hope I'm clear with this, and that's what we're going to use right here. That's the method, general method we're going to use here. And so I'm gonna find the line of symmetry, and then I'm gonna plug in that number that I get from that into the x values right here in all of these, and see which one, this is very important, which y value has the greatest absolute, which is the greatest absolute y value. And the reason why it's the greatest absolute y value is because these numbers that I get for y can be negative, right? And so it doesn't make sense to compare a negative number to positive numbers when I'm trying to calculate the greatest distance away, right? The distance away from the x-axis. It doesn't make sense to have negative numbers then, right? And so this is why I say, once I plug in the x, I'm looking for the greatest absolute value of y. Greatest absolute value of y. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It's because, again, that when I'm measuring the distance in either direction from the x-axis, the negative value should have no bearing on how big the y coordinate here is. Because if I draw another quadratic, okay? If I draw another quadratic that looks something like this, notice how the x coordinate of the vertex would remain the same as the line of symmetry, but the y coordinate would be different, right? And that's what we are after. We're after the y coordinate in this question. And so let's try to figure out the line of symmetry. Well, the line of symmetry is going to be the average point between the x-intercepts, okay? The average point between the x-intercepts. So that's going to be -2 plus 4 over 2. Just the normal way of calculating mean. The sum of the terms divided by the number of terms. So -2 plus 4 over 2, that's going to be 2 over 2, which is 1. And so the line of symmetry, the equation of the line of symmetry is x equals 1. And therefore we know that the x coordinate of all of these vertices of all these equations are going to be 1. Because, again, that all of these equations have the same x-intercepts and therefore the same line of symmetry, and so they're going to all have the same x value in the vertex. Okay, and so now I can plug in 1 into each of these right here. I'm going to plug in to all of these right here. I can plug in 1. So let's do that right now. I notice that this is common, this factor x plus 2 into x minus 4 is common for all of these equations, right? And so I can quickly calculate that, and it makes it easy for ourselves to plug that in. So if I rewrite x plus 2 into x minus 4, and I plug in 1 for that, so it's going to be 1 plus 2 into 1 minus 4, and that's going to be 3 into minus 9, and 3 into minus 3, and which equals minus 9. So what I just did is I calculated this section as minus 9 for everybody, right? And so minus 7 into minus 9, minus 7 into minus 9 is 63, negative 63. And because I'm taking the absolute, that becomes 63, right? 1/10 into 9 is just 9 over 10, right? Negative 9, right? Negative 9 over 10. Take the absolute, becomes 9 over 10. 1 negative half into negative 9 just becomes 9 over 2. And 5 into minus 9 becomes negative 45. I'm taking the absolute again, and it becomes 45. Which one is the greatest y coordinate or y value? Which one's the greatest? And that's going to be A. And so that's our answer, A.